We're so naive, I think, that we think that the war ends on the ground, but we don't realize that the bigger war is being lost. It's not even that we're trying to fight it and we're losing. We're not even there. It's an empty battlefield.
So with me in the studio this week, Melanie Shiraz, Miss Israel, recently won the competition and went and represented our country to Miss Universe, where a lot of drama went down. Melanie, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
It's so great having you. And, you know, you've been through quite a lot in the last few months, Melanie. Tell us, first of all, what made you run? You know, you're an educated young woman. And you were asked to run for the Miss Israel Beauty competition. And I guess, did you know then all the drama that would transpire because of where we're at right now?
So I expected there to be drama. I did not expect there to be as much drama as I dealt with. I think I went through everything, anything and everything that could have possibly happened during the competition. So it was very challenging, but ultimately, you know, you were just asking about what led me to compete. And what really did lead me to compete was the desire to advocate for my people and for my country, both as an Israeli and as a Jew who has had the experience of living in the diaspora as well.
So you saw this role when you entered the competition as almost like an ambassadorial role for Israel. Okay, so you win the competition and then you have to go to the wider competition, Miss Universe.
Yeah.
So tell us what happened.
So I won, and, you know, from the beginning, the advocacy part of it was the most important thing to me because I personally believe that these cultural platforms are the best way to reach people that would otherwise not see a human Israeli. They would only see us in headlines. And so from day one after I got chosen, that was my main focus. And so very shortly after I got chosen, the news got released that there would be a Palestinian delegate for the first time in the history of the competition. And, you know, at first I had very mixed reactions about it, but I thought it would be an interesting opportunity. Now, what I didn't expect is that she would very quickly start using her platform to spread misinformation, like heinous misinformation about Israel. And that's when I said, you know what? I came here to be an advocate for Israel, and whatever the risk is, I will continue to stay true to the truth. And so I called her out in a collaborative post with the State of Israel after she had posted statistics claiming that we had killed almost 800,000 Palestinians since October 7th, which is over 10 times what Hamas claims. She claimed the Bibas children as Palestinian casualties. She said Tel Aviv, Yaffo, and Jerusalem were Palestine. And so I said, you know, like if she doesn't see my identity as one that should exist or my country as one that should exist, clearly there's not really going to be room for much productive dialogue, but I want to maintain, you know, my stance.
So she basically saw her job as demonizing Israel from day one.
It seems so.
And nobody in the administration of this Miss Universe competition said to her, listen, lady, you're not here to spread hate. This is against the values and against the spirit of Miss Universe. Nobody said anything to her.
So this is the unfortunate thing. Behind the scenes, you know, when I made that video, they actually had her take her video down.
They did.
They did have
the video of her spreading lies and falsehoods.
That kind of rhetoric they asked her to stop with, and then they kindly asked me to remove my post because they didn't want to further the drama after it's already been taken care of. And I said, okay, I'll hide it. And you know, I thought that maybe it would end there, but of course it didn't end there. And then 3 days after the competition began, we had an event that was not supposed to be televised or publicized or really spoken about so much because this was an event 2 weeks before the actual official competition.
Right.
But they had us stand right next to one another and with me behind her.
Right.
And of course, that event then became, you know, one of the most viral pieces of the Miss Universe competition this year, which is unfortunate because I was quite stressed that day and I didn't think that it was going to be made into that. I hoped that it wouldn't be made into that big of an issue, but it ultimately was.
I think that there were people making sure that it became an issue. There were people making sure that the whole thing was politicized, which again is against the very spirit of the competition itself. And so you saw this as an opportunity to perhaps, you know, build some bridges and and she was using it as an opportunity to make Israel look bad.
Yeah.
And the administration were weak to this. They didn't really kind of pull her aside and say, listen, you're making, I mean, they've let Miss Palestine in. It's not even a country.
Right.
They've let her in for the first time. And then, Melanie, it was discovered that in fact, far from being an innocent young lady, first of all, she's never been here, never been to the region, but also she's married to the son of Mustafa Barghouti, something like that. Marwan Barghouti, who's in jail.
Who was a Fatah leader who's convicted of the murder of 5 Israelis.
5 murders. Okay, so she's married to Barghouti's son. So she's not an innocent kind of representative like you are. I mean, you are a regular Israeli, a talented, beautiful woman, runs and wins in the competition, goes to Miss Universe. She's actually married to the son of a terrorist.
So, okay, one thing at a time. You were saying that, things were not played nicely, and you're right about that. I did notice during that competition, or during that event specifically, that she had a private photographer taking photos of just her. At first, I was very naive, and I was smiling at the photographer, thinking like, okay, this is one of the press people. And then I realized that he was starting to guide her on where to be, where to stand, and I said, oh.
So propaganda, part of the Palestinian propaganda machine.
So I tried avoiding looking in that direction.
Right.
I didn't imagine for a second that they would distort the camera perspective and cut it and edit it in a way that made it look like I was giving a look that I never gave. But, the first person that posted that footage was her.
Of course.
And I asked her to take it down, and she didn't. And you're right. I did try to reach out to the Miss Universe team about it many, many times. And all they told me was tomorrow, tomorrow, tomorrow. And meanwhile, I was starting to get a barrage of hate on my Instagram, which is my only social media until now, to the point where it was paid campaigns. There were thousands of hate comments, and people were yelling Free Palestine at me at public events, and they had to increase security for me. But they still never took a meeting with me to discuss how insane that situation was. And it was very, very, very challenging.
Well, I think this is what people don't seem to realize is how deliberate and sophisticated the pro-Hamas, pro-Palestinian campaign is in cultural spaces.
Yeah.
But you basically confronted this head on, unprepared, you could say, because you didn't expect it. You went to a competition. And then everybody turns against you.
Yeah. So the most challenging part of that for me was waking up one morning and seeing that the wave, I mean, I made international headlines.
You did?
Just for giving an alleged side eye that never happened.
So they doctored up that picture. They make you be like, oh, look, she's giving her side eye to Miss Palestine. She's all smiley. And now you face the hate of the world as the shifty, resentful Jew, which is what they wanted to make you into, right?
Yeah.
That was the plan.
It was, which is, it's funny because if you zoom out, if you look at the official video, everybody was giving faces like that. I mean, we were standing on a stage for an hour and a half. We can't smile the entire time. It's painful.
Yeah.
But anyway, so the most painful thing about that incident was that Israeli media started posting it, and I saw a lot of hate comments in Hebrew, and I was like, how is it that my people are turning on me?
What were they saying?
So they were just insulting me, my character, saying that she was more beautiful, and I was like, something is not adding up. And then I started like clicking in each individual profile and realizing that they're
the bots.
They're not real accounts. They have Israeli names,
of course,
photos and things like with the flag of Israel in the bio. They're writing comments in Hebrew, but they're also part of that paid campaign.
Of course.
And it's
interesting.
It's mind-blowing. It sounds like a conspiracy.
Well, it is a conspiracy. Basically, what you're saying is that part of the campaign against us is coming from fake Israeli accounts. That you for a second thought, oh my God, my people are turning against me. Yeah. That was exactly the idea, that they wanted to demoralize you.
Exactly. Yes.
This is crazy, Melanie.
It's a lot for someone to deal with who's just there in Thailand on their own.
It was Thailand, right?
Yeah, it was much. And then with the Marwan Barghouti thing, I mean, if having a delegate from a country that doesn't exist, it's not like having a Miss West Bank and Palestine and Gaza. It's having a Miss Palestine. It's already a political statement by the organization.
Yes.
But then after this association with a convicted terrorist comes out, they still placed her in the top 30.
Oh.
After they knew she broke the rules, after they knew the situation that I was in, after they knew that she was praising a convicted terrorist, they still placed her. And that, to me, I mean, that was I felt like it was a surreal situation, standing on stage and feeling so dismissed.
Do you think it was out of weakness? Political expedience? What?
No, I think that the world has realized that the Palestinian narrative is trendy. It gets clicks and engagement, and they're a business, and that's all they care about.
So they wanted more clicks, and this drama kind of served their purpose.
Yeah, and it could have been an accident, but the coincidence of me standing right next to her out of 120 delegates,
no, there's no coincidence.
It's pretty interesting, right?
There's no coincidence. It's so sad, Melanie, because a few years back, we had an incredible situation where my friend Sarai Idan, who was at the time Miss Iraq, took a picture an innocent picture with Miss Israel in this competition, this very competition. You have a country that was an enemy of Israel. They attacked us a number of times. And then the two misses, the Miss Israel and Miss Iraq, took a picture together as a sign of, bridge building. Sarai was kicked out of Iraq. She couldn't go back. She's today in LA. And that moment was used for building ties. And then a few years back, when I was deputy mayor of Jerusalem, we had the Miss Universe competition come to Israel. They were in Eilat, but they came to Jerusalem for 2 days, and I was leading that delegation, and we did incredible content, which was about bridge building and fighting, common enemies together. We had Arab and Jewish women, and it was a moment of, again, bridge building, coexistence. And now, instead of being that, which is what Miss Universe is supposed to be, what you experienced is the very opposite.
Yes, and that's one of the things that made it so unfortunate and disappointing to me, because I got sucked into this conflict that I never wanted to engage in with her. But like I said before, my highest priority is to maintain the truth.
Yeah.
And to defend my country. And so if my country is being threatened or defamed, then I'm going to say something about it. But unfortunately, that was the tension the entire time. And after the competition, she went on Middle East Eye and said,
sorry.
Yes, but she flat out lied about me, saying that I am ashamed of the IDF and that I'm somebody that makes her skin crawl and the world's skin crawl. It was relating to a comment that I had made about it making my skin crawl, that she was related to Barghouti. And she said that I was chasing her around with the Israeli flag, trying to force photos with her, which is very ironic considering that the one photo of us that was posted without consent was on her behalf.
Did you ever speak to her? Did she ever speak to you?
So the first day that we were in the competition, I saw her. She ignored me entirely, and I said good morning and kept walking. And then one time I was in an elevator by myself, and she walked in, and we had 20 floors, and I said, okay, this is going to be quite awkward if I don't make conversation. And she stayed quiet until I engaged her in small talk.
Right.
That was it. But behind,
so you were constantly trying. She's doing the best she can to kind of undermine you and undermine the competition,
and to make me look like I'm the one with
and to make you look like the aggressive one, and which is the entire strategy of the pro-Hamas brigade. So Melanie, what now for you? Now you've had this really incredibly unpleasant experience that has made you into a beauty queen warrior. What are you doing next? What do you want to do? And within this lane that you're in, this cultural kind of lane, what can we do?
Yes. So, when I went to Berkeley, I understood that the world really hates Jews. And I think that was the moment, for me at least, that my eyes opened and I said, I'm going to have to dedicate my life to this at some point. And the first few years after I graduated, I worked in tech. I started my own company.
Yeah.
But after October 7th, everything just lost meaning. And I knew that this is what I need to do with my life. And so that's when I, began my pivot into this space. pursued Miss Israel. Now, after Miss Universe is behind me, I still see myself doing this full time as a life path.
Mm.
So, there's a lot of angles. There's influencer and there's diplomat, but I think I'm gonna end up finding something of my own because I think that for me, I have a very unique perspective as both an Israeli and a Jew that's lived in the diaspora. I see that there's a disconnect between the two, and I feel like I am a bridge. And it's very, very important for somebody to speak on that insight because there's not very many people that can do it. And there's
Right.
not that many people that understand the amount and the complexity of the anti-Semitism that we're facing today, both abroad and on social media. I mean, these campaigns are extremely clever.
Clever, well-funded, strategic, and we're not even in the arena.
Yeah.
But Melanie, you mentioned something which I speak about a lot, which is the fact that I don't think the Israeli public actually understand anti-Semitism. Am I right? Am I wrong?
I think they understand terrorism.
Yeah.
They understand war. They understand
National hatred, maybe.
Yes, they understand this chronic existential threat.
Mm.
But they don't know what it's like to be a minority. We are a majority here in Israel. The Jewish people in the diaspora know how important it is to be there for one another and to protect one another because that's their bubble, that's their protective space. And so I think Israelis are less that way in ways that sometimes can be to our own detriment. And I think that that's one of the insights that I would like to share with Israelis, during the course of the next several months, because it is something that's very important. And, like I said, most people do not understand the complexity or the depth of the campaigns against us. I didn't even until I went in front of hundreds of millions of people.
Who would know that, honestly, they've infiltrated every single space, including the beauty competition space, where they weren't even a candidate until this year.
Right. It's unfortunate that, all of these cultural platforms are now tarnished in a way that, Israelis are left without the luxury to enjoy them or to
Yes.
just focus on the task at hand. We always have to think of how we're representing our people,
Yeah.
what message we want to share with the world more than most people. And we always have to be on a high alert because for me, for example, I was just standing on a stage and my priority was to represent Israel well. And I even made negative international headlines. So imagine what somebody else would have.
Who doesn't understand what you
And
understand?
that's why I came to Miss Israel, because in the end of the day, people like in Israel do not understand the importance and the value of these cultural platforms. And I was very afraid
Agree.
that someone else that doesn't know that would go and represent Israel and create an even bigger international catastrophe.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I think that the biggest example of what you've gone through in the last few years has been the Eurovision, because that's been something that's televised in Israel. It's something that Israel works towards finding the singer. And I think people are beginning to wake up. I think that what you went through in the Miss Universe is something that never happened here before, because Israeli, we've had such amazing Miss Israels over the years representing the diversity of Israel. From different backgrounds, from Arab backgrounds and Ethiopian backgrounds, and, all the colors of the rainbow that we have here in this country backgrounds. And so we kind of thought that was a safe space. But what you're saying is there's no safe spaces these days.
no, there aren't. And, the thing that made it more challenging for me was that, I feel like Israel has adopted Eurovision as their favorite cultural platform. So we win public votes, at least the contestant has support. I mean, Yuval Raphael, now everybody knows who she is. She
Yeah.
has the support of the entire country. I didn't have that at all.
You didn't even have the country really kind of backing you when you were there.
I didn't have, I wasn't voted for. I could have made the top 30 just by public vote, but I didn't even come close.
Right. Because it was the judges and because everything's now become political. So
Yeah.
you didn't have the luxury of the Eurovision contestants where the song and who they were brought them
Well, but
to
there was a
win.
public vote as well. I mean, Israelis could have voted,
Right.
but nobody did.
Nobody did because nobody maybe knew about it.
Right.
That's the thing. And not enough is made in this country. So I think for what I'm gathering from what you're saying is the other message is that Israel now really has to take this cultural space
Yes, yes.
very seriously, and we're not even there.
This is one of the main things that I want to advocate for during the course of the next few years. I think that Israel is missing out on these opportunities. They don't realize how important they are. I mean, my headlines were viewed by hundreds of millions of
Yeah.
people. My Instagram profile was viewed by tens of millions of people
Yeah.
throughout the course of Miss Universe.
Yeah.
My reach as a cultural diplomat was so much larger than the average influencers or, Israeli that's not in the public eye. And so I think that that's an amazing space and opportunity that we need to seize and send, individuals that are equipped to deal with these kinds of challenges. And it's something that we have to prioritize more. And in general, I mean, Israelis are we're so naive, I think, that we think that the war ends on the ground, but
Yeah.
we don't realize that the bigger war
Yeah.
is being lost.
I could.
And it's not even that we're trying to fight it and we're losing. We're not even
We're not
there.
even in the
It's an
arena.
empty battlefield. It's a one-sided battlefield.
And a one-person battlefield like you had to face.
Yes, and I did it on my own, and it shouldn't be that way.
It shouldn't be that way, Melanie. Gosh, well, we're very lucky that we have such a brave, strong woman who represented us, who went through a horrible time. How has this affected you? Is it just like, I'm going to do more? Or, I mean, you must have some trauma on some level.
A little bit. Every time I see that video
Oh,
of the way I said Israel and of the side-eye thing, I was very clearly stressed at that
of
moment.
course you were.
And I don't think I grasped how publicized that would be. Because like I said, it was supposed to be some minor event that nobody would hear about. But they heard about it. Exactly.
They were waiting, Melanie. They were waiting for that moment.
The world heard about that event because of that scandal.
Yeah.
And maybe that's why they put us next to one another.
For sure. I think this was all very deliberate.
Yeah.
Somebody, maybe the people who put you behind or whatever, were unaware that they were being manipulated, but there was definitely manipulation going on here.
Yes, and you were asking about how am I right now? I feel burned a little bit.
Blame you.
I feel burned by the world, but it's not going to stop me. Even if I'm a one-woman show, I'm going to continue plowing through any obstacles in my way, and I have several ventures that I want to pursue that I hope will help other people that are in my position.
Anything you want to share with us?
It's still in the works.
Okay.
But I want to pursue a couple ventures, and they're both on the line of, Israel representatives abroad and making sure that they're prepared.
So cultural diplomacy.
Oh, yes, 100% in this cultural diplomacy space.
That's wonderful. Well, Melanie, look, you're not a one woman on your own. You've got all of us, all of our incredible audience, and a lot of people rooting for you. So I hope you feel that love. Thank you for your bravery.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming in to share it with us.
Thank you for having me.